Be honest, this is the song and the reason why you wanted to learn how to fingerpick. However, so hey everybody, it's Eric again with your weekly lesson. Last week we brought up the fingerpicking thing, and this week we're going to continue it. Like I said, we're going to do a quick little thing about the technique behind doing it. You'll see that I'm using a thumb pick, and that is because I generally keep my fingernails grown out, and unfortunately I broke my thumbnail off. And not broke, it's still there, just not quite as good as it should be. So I actually use a thumb pick that, this is a Zuki in a large. Anyway, but what I've done is, if you actually look at it, I kind of filed it off a bit so that I can still play finger picking the way that I normally do. So, unlike, say, like a larger thumb pick, you might see like a bluegrass style player using one, or on the banjo or whatever, where you actually have to anchor your hand in because the pick part is so long. Mine's chopped off so I can get in like you normally would. So I said last week that today I'd cover a couple technique things, and that's what we're here to do, and we're going to make it pretty quick and easy because I want you all to really focus on how to do that. And the two biggest things we're going to focus on are your hand positioning, so that sort of means like from the elbow down, how that's all going to work. And then the other part is getting your fingers to move the most effective way possible. So when I talk about these techniques, I am talking about a way that I have put together for myself based on, learning how to play, styles of classical music guitar and fingerstyle guitar, and doing picking for all kinds of country and rock stuff, and doing the hybrid, and this becomes sort of a combination of all of those things that I found to be really good and helpful, and that I'm actually able to utilize all the time. So, number one, when you get your setup and your position on the guitar, one of the things, you can see it in that first little bit, is that I try to keep the line from my forearm all the way down to my middle finger to be one nice straight line. You will sometimes see various style or various players, you'll see a change where they actually have their hand like this, cocked off the bottom of the hand or the wrist. You'll see some people where they've got a really big bend this way or that way in the wrist, and I want to avoid all of that, and what I want to talk about is keeping as neutral as possible. So that involves keeping a straight line from the elbow down to that middle knuckle when you're on the guitar. Hopefully you can see that right now. The second piece to the puzzle, there seems to be this misconception that when you're finger picking, you put your fingers in the strings really far like this, and then you pluck out. We want to avoid all of the outward motion like this that you'll see people doing when they're learning. What we're going to do is talk about, you're actually going to place your fingers on top of the strings almost, and when you pluck, I want you to feel like your hand is actually doing this, like you're waving by, like to the little baby next door, doing that. I want you to make the same move. So when you pluck, you're going to pluck so that these big knuckles here are the ones doing the work, and they pull up into the hand like this. So I'm avoiding big bends and twists and everything, and I'm avoiding big hard plucking motions on the strings so that everything stays nice and soft. This gives you the ability to control some dynamics so that I don't have to be... I can have a kind of a soft, quiet one. Get a little louder, and just keep getting louder, and then back to quiet. And none of that has to do with digging in or pulling harder. It's just a little more emphasis on the strings of the fingers. So, all you're going to work on for this week, as far as the technique is concerned, is trying to get, if you can go from letting your arm hang down like this, nice and neutral, and what I want you to do is, you're going to pull it up to the strings, just bending at the elbow, and you're going to rest it so that your first, second, and third fingers are down on 3, 2, and 1 strings, and your thumb is up on any one of the top 3. When you look down, to make sure you're in the right spot, you should see no bend in your wrist. It should be like this, not like that. And you should notice that if your thumb were to come down, it lands right on top of your index finger like that. So, go over that again. Drop your hand down, let it relax. I want you to bring the whole thing up like it's coming from the elbow. Plant these, your A, M, and I fingers on strings 1, 2, and 3. Drop your thumb on the string, take a look and make sure everything is nice and neutral. And then when you're ready, just make a nice pluck inward with your fingers, rolling them into your hand like that. And then a nice downward motion with your thumb, not from the knuckle, not like this. Here you get that weak sound. You want a nice straight down, okay? So one more time. Arm down, nice and neutral. Bring it up from the elbow. Plant your A, M, and I fingers on 1, 2, and 3. Drop your thumb in place. Give it a nice pull inwards. Remember your fingers are on top of the strings basically. Nice pull inward into the hand using the big knuckles. And a nice thumb straight down. So hopefully you can take some time over the week, try and work on those 2 simple setup techniques. It's kind of like the building from the ground up. When you can get those, go back to those patterns that we talked about last week. And see if you can apply that exact same technique. So hopefully you find these helpful and handy, and happy practice, and we'll see you next week.